Welcome to the Green Wasp Removal YouTube channel. In this episode, we visit an old farmhouse to collect and remove a very active Baldfaced Hornets nest that was attached to the eaves along the top level of the house. We utilized a custom pole vac system that allowed us to work safely from the ground during the initial collection phase, where we capture as many of the live adult wasps as possible so they can be utilized for Venom Immunotherapy, or VIT. Then we climbed a ladder to the roof so we could finish the next phase of the collection, where we agitate the nest to encourage the remaining wasps to exit the nest so they could be collected. Of course, the Baldfaced Hornets attack your veil and your face, and they try to spray venom in your eyes, so we'll go over some safety protocols like wearing 2 different visors that keep the netting away from your face so you can't be stung through the veil. And we'll show you up close what the process looks like when you're hanging off the edge of a roof and trying to deal with a vacuum system and trying to deal with Baldfaced Hornets all at once. We'll show you how we contain the nest in a temporary transport container so that we can get it back to base where it can be incubated. And you'll see inside this container, there's a lot of life left in these nests. This is why we capture them alive and we don't damage the brood comb. You can see the larvae and the pupae inside this nest. There were a lot of eggs still in this nest. There was a queen in the nest still. So we always try to bring the brood comb back with us. We're also going to show you how we freeze the live wasp specimens in dry ice right in the field to preserve their venom at the very highest quality possible for Venom Immunotherapy. We'll show you how we get the wasps back to base. As they're frozen solid, they can be put into a baggie marked with species and the date they were collected, and this will be sent to the lab at the end of the season. We'll also show you how we set up the incubation habitat for the brood comb and the queen that came with it. We'll show you how we make a sugar water solution that they can use for carbohydrates and hydration. And we'll show you how, as the brood begins to hatch out on this nest, how we do experiments with pollen cake, which is a plant-based protein often used in beekeeping to feed the bees over the time when there's no nectar flow. We've been experimenting with pollen cake this season to see which species will eat this in captivity for protein. And it seems so far that every species of wasp we've tested has been able to eat this protein. What we're currently looking at is whether or not they're going to share it with their larvae to keep the larvae alive and get the larvae into pupation. Our experiments are ongoing, and we're just going to show you exactly what we're doing, what the results are, so that everyone who wants to experiment with this can. We'd like to see more wasp and vespiary experts around the world experimenting with pollen cake as protein for their wasps. We're trying to find ways to streamline and make more efficient the entire brood incubation process for wasps for Venom Immunotherapy. We're also going to show you how at this same farm property, inside one of their rabbit hutches, we found a species of wasp that we've never seen here before in the last few years we've been running this YouTube channel. This is called Polistes exclemens, also known as the Guinea wasp. It's a beneficial native paper wasp, and typically it can be found around North America as a native species, but we've never seen it in our local area here. So it was exciting to find a species that is new to us, at least. And we'll show you how we relocate their nests by knocking out the wasps and separating them from their nest using CO2 gas. And then we mount the nest for relocation using a hot glue gun, and we put it inside an old planter container. Then we reintroduce the wasps to the nest, and we set them up in our free-range vespiary where we put all of our relocated paper wasps. It seemed to be a successful relocation because since that time we have seen a couple of these wasps stick around and pupate out of the nest and stay in their relocated areas. For now, let's take you back to July 29th of 2025 and we'll show you the whole job. If you enjoy the episode, please remember to like, share, subscribe, and comment to let us know you're there. Enjoy the show. It's July 29th, 2025. We're at a rural property in upstate Indiana, and they have an aerial yellow jacket species right up here at the peak of their eaves at the highest part of the roof. And the house is about to have an exterior cleaning done, among other work, so they need this gone so that the workmen are safe. And what you have here is Baldfaced Hornets. These are black and white aerial yellow jackets, often called hornets, but truly not hornets. They're actually just related to yellow jackets, but they're black and white instead of black and yellow. So we're going to begin the collection using a long vacuum pole rig that allows us to stay off ladders, and that's simply a safety issue. Whenever we can stay off steep pitch roofs like this and ladders, we try to do that. So that's the purpose of the pole collection. So we're going to start that now. Quick note on voiceover here regarding the first phase of collection. This is what we do at pretty much every removal, is we will begin to collect the flying wasps that are anywhere outside the nest, coming and going to the entry point. And this collection process allows us to collect these wasps to reduce the numbers that we're going to have to deal with when we take the actual brood comb and remove that. That's always the first phase here. So we're going to show you about 4 minutes of footage about that first phase, and then we'll move on with the rest of the episode. We just gave them a little bump to stir them up so that they'll come out and get collected. And you see how they attack the collection bottle, and in that process they get collected. That's what we're looking for. We just agitated the nest again to get them to come out and attack. Seems to be working fine. Alright, it's calming down again, so we're going to go ahead and stir them up again. Just bump the nest a little bit. So we're on top of the roof now, and it's a very steep pitch here, but we can work on this one, which is more of a horizontal angle. So what we're going to do is pull the nest and contain the brood comb, and that way we can incubate this nest for Venom Immunotherapy. So the tools we're using today are going to be very simple. We have tongs to deconstruct the nest. We have containers to keep the nest secured. We have a net bag if we need it. And we have a net. The net will be used after we contain everything and the foragers keep coming back. We can grab them right out of the air, as well as the vacuum can do that. So between the two, the vacuum and the net, we should be able to get everything else. Nice view out here.
Beautiful property. So they're not happy with me right now, that's for sure. They're gonna try to blow venom in my face and all that. So you gotta squint your eyes or wear eye protection when you deal with these. Because they're squirters. All right, so we're gonna stick a container under here and just contain the nest and drag it off. This is why we wear 2 visors. Keeps the net off the face. That way they can't sting you through the net. We want to scare out as many as we can get out of here and have them go back to the nest where they get collected. So we're just agitating the nest a little bit. I'm going to back off a little bit and let them get collected for a little while, because right now I'm distracting them. So best practice typically is to just back off, let the collection device collect them, and then approach again after the swarm has died down. This way they focus their energy on the collection bottle and they perceive that as a threat instead of me. That distracts them less and they get collected more readily. All right, that looks like about it for what's going to come out in the pack. So let's go ahead and remove this. Alright, so we've got it contained. Now we're just going to slip the cap on and we should be good to go. Alright, we've got the cap on. Here's what's left of the nest debris. We'll get that scraped off here. And this will be a nice nest for Venom Immunotherapy. We'll be able to incubate this whole nest. As you can see in here, there's a lot of pupae and larvae still in this nest. And we'll incubate that back at the barn lab.
So we'll freeze the frame here for you for just a second. What you see in this image is rows of larvae. Those are the small grubs with the yellow heads. And then you have white silk caps. And those silk caps are actually spun by the larvae themselves. When they reach the age where they're about to pupate, they weave a silk cap. They have glands in their mouths that produce the silk gel that when it hits oxygen, it immediately turns into a very strong fiber. So that's where the silk comes from, that they weave their silk caps with. And once the silk cap is woven, within a couple weeks, they'll come out as an adult wasp and chew their way out of the silk cap. And then we can collect them for VIT, or Venom Immunotherapy.
All right, that's it for this one. They seem to be just fine, so they haven't overheated. Everything's still viable. We have a couple out here that are still running around. We'll see if we can capture a few of those just by leaving this, the collection device, right where the hole used to be. And what happens is they come and explore any dark hole near what used to be their entry point. And because of that, we can leave this right here and probably collect a number of the foragers that return. Because right now they're out like this one, kind of confused, wondering what happened to their nest. So we're going to go ahead. Here comes a couple to explore where the nest was. And we'll net these as they come back. And the vacuum will also capture a few. And way down there, 30 odd feet, is the vacuum. Running up on a very long utility pole. These poles are typically used for window washing. We hollowed them out and used them for vacuum extension. And they work great. Shout out to Clearview Window Washers. Kyle and his crew donated some of these poles to us. And they have worked very, very well. Right now, we're just standing by with the net and with the vacuum, waiting for foragers like this one to come back and look for their nest. And as they do, we can net them up and vacuum them up. So in the rabbit hutch here, oh, look at this. This is interesting. We rarely see these here. This is Polistes exclemens. It's the first time I've seen this in this area. So it's good to have these. They're native, they're beneficial, and we'll collect those and relocate them. And over on this side, looks like more exclemens. So we'll collect both of those and relocate them. So for this first one, we're just going to use a jar. This is exclemens, Polistes exclemens. And they all were captured in one shot, which makes life easy. Now we're going to do the next one. This one will be a little trickier because the angle's a little bit off. So we got them all except a couple. And what we'll do is net the rest, or just grab them as they land in another container. So you see how they come right back to the nest area. So that makes it easy to just grab them and remove them and just contain them. So we've got the last two here. That appears to be the whole colony. If there's any left out in the environment, in the ecosystem, they will come back and they'll hang around here. But to deter them, we'll add a little bit of essential oil up there that they don't like the smell of. So that'll keep them from coming back. All right, that's it for today. We're gonna pull the pole down now and contain the collection and freeze it. Okay. How are you ladies doing? You look pretty good. Doesn't look like any of them are expiring in the heat, which is what we want. We don't see any more activity up here. No more sign of foragers coming or going. There'll be a few that come back over the next couple of days, but they'll die off on their own in a couple of days because they can't survive without the nest. Is a wrap for this one. Let's go get them frozen. It's always the first order of business. That way they don't overheat in the collection bottle in the field. Let's do it. So we're going to take these bald-faced hornets and we're going to freeze them in dry ice now. So now they're frozen solid. Just remove some of the debris. And that's it. Here we are back at the lab. We just set this nest up in a little habitat where it can incubate. And we have the queen here. It's a fairly large wasp who was inside the nest. So we'll give her some pollen cake to eat and some water, and that should take care of their needs for now. I'm just putting a little bit of sugar in this water container.
Keep a big bag on hand all the time. Some water. We're going to put it right inside the habitat. So we put the sugar water in the habitat. So we'll freeze the frame here for just a second. The way you can identify a bald-faced hornet queen typically is they have large white patches on their shoulders that you see here in the red circle that the other female workers on the nest do not have. And they're a little bit larger than all the workers. So here we see the wasp we believe to be the queen. She's coming up over the edge here right now. You can see her white face there. And she's just checking on the nest. And there's some newly born workers on the nest as well. So hopefully they'll continue to tend to it. We may add some pollen cake to give them some protein. Underneath this is the back side of the comb you're seeing. Underneath this would be all of the brood comb, where you see the eggs, the larvae, the pupae. Leave them some pollen cake here. I think we'll put it right on the nest for them, so they definitely will find it. We'll leave it right there. Right now they're just hiding out, taking it easy. There's a queen, I believe. So we'll leave it there for them, maybe they'll find it. What we're gonna do with these Polistes exclemens is we're gonna go ahead and put the nest inside a container here, and then just leave the container out in the wild so they have access to go out whenever they want to, free range. First we have to knock them out. We do that with the CO2 tank. It's like they're basically asleep now. That's it. Now we knock out each container. One left. So while they're out cold, we take their nest, which is very thick with larvae and pupae, by the way. It's a very active nest. It's in good shape. So we're happy to relocate it. And what we're going to do is glue the bottom. There we go. So we'll let that glue settle in there for a minute. And we're just going to dump all of our wasps in with it. A few larvae fell out, but most of them are doing okay. The other nest in there was not very active yet, so we're just going to leave them all together in the same nest. And when they wake up, hopefully they will become part of the same nest. All right, let's go take them out. We're just going to put them right here and let them relax in there and get reacquainted with their nest. Meanwhile, up here, all our other relocations are battling the yellow jackets, but they're working. Some of them have woken up and started exploring their new area. Hopefully they'll stick around. At least they now have a chance at life. July 31st, 2025. A bald-faced hornet nest that was retrieved from the eaves of a house a few days back. Seems to be doing fine. The queen continues to patrol the nest, as you see here. You can tell she's the queen because she has those large white patches on her shoulders that the others don't seem to have. So they continue to feed on their pollen cake a little bit. And there's also sugar water in the habitat for them, so between the two, they seem to be doing okay. One interesting detail we noticed: when wasps feed on pollen cake, they often will chew it into little balls like this. And we're not sure what that behavior is about. They may be breaking it down because it's easier for them to eat or carry that way, or they may be breaking it down so they can feed it to the larvae. We're not really sure, but we've seen this with a couple different species now. So far, we've had several species eat pollen cake very well in captivity, including bald-faced hornets, that's Dolichovespula maculata, also Polistes dominula, or European paper wasp, and a couple different species of yellow jackets. Here you see the adult bald-faced hornets feeding on the pollen cake. We're hoping they're feeding some of that to the larvae that's still alive in the nest, but we're not sure if that's happening or not. They seem to be going back and forth from the pollen cake to the larvae, doing trophallaxis, so that may be a good sign that they're feeding the larvae with this material, but it's hard to tell. But you can see them doing trophallaxis right here. Mouth-to-mouth feeding with the larva. And then returning to the pollen cake. And then you see this one returning into the nest, returning to the larvae. Here's a queen bald-faced hornet feeding on the pollen cake. And some of the workers doing the same. We don't have any evidence yet that they're feeding it to the larvae, because the larvae is underneath the nest facing down. But we're hoping that they're bringing it down into the nest and feeding the larvae with it.